Jeffrey Epstein's London, his proposed Mayfair playroom, the mansions he considered buying, plus his curious plan for a meeting between Woody Allen and a mystery man known as P.A. By Jim Watterson and Sophie Wilkinson. February 2026. On a discreet side alley in St. James's, just across Green Park from Buckingham Palace, sits the boutique five-star Duke's Hotel. It markets itself as a quintessentially British place to stay while in London, complete with its own cigar merchant. It's also the hotel Jeffrey Epstein considered buying following encouragement by one of Prince Andrew's associates, according to previously unreported messages seen by London Centric. The proposal was that Epstein could take over the building and turn its penthouse suite into his London playroom, where the convicted sex offender could enjoy lots of pee. Lots of pee, which appears regularly in emails involving Epstein, appears to be a reference to Pussy, a hotel off Pall Mall. Jeffrey Epstein's emails have consumed global politics over the last week, following the release by the U.S. authorities of millions of files connected to the incredibly well-connected sex offender. While the global political and business ramifications are enormous, this scandal also reinforces once again the role that London plays in the lives of the almost untouchable super-rich. London Centric has been digging into the emails to uncover how money flows around the capital and how it buys discretion for a certain type of person, usually in a very small corner of the city between Regent Street and Hyde Park. Epstein was a creature of New York, but he regularly visited London, and records show his familiarity with the city, or at least the small strip of it between Mayfair and Knightsbridge, where houses cost tens millions of pounds, and young female models can be easily booked to accompany old men to dinner. Some of the London addresses in the Epstein files are well known. The emails show him regularly inviting contacts to meet at Ghislaine Maxwell's Mews house on Kinnerton Street in Knightsbridge, where an infamous photo involving Virginia Giuffre and Prince Andrew was alleged to have been taken. There are also invites from the then Duke of York to Epstein, suggesting he visit Buckingham Palace for dinner. Yet many of the other London locations in this article, such as Duke's Hotel, have not previously been associated with Epstein. What's clear throughout the huge cache of emails is that the sex offender took an active interest in the British capital and the activities and private lives of its super-rich, your London playroom. When Epstein was convicted of soliciting prostitution from a child in 2009, he was sentenced to 18 months in a minimum security jail. After his release, he emailed the government minister Peter Mandelson, joking about celebrating his release from prison with two strippers called Grace and Modesty. From now on, Grace and Modesty SD should be discovered in London, Mandelson replied. Epstein seems to have taken the invite to spend more time in London to heart. The following year, he was on an email chain involving Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, a Dubai-based businessman who oversaw the construction of the giant DP World London Gateway port in Essex, and also owned the Duke's Hotel. The hotel's parent company was struggling due to the terms of the loan used to complete the purchase of the hotel. By 2010, the Dubai businessman was emailing Epstein asking for advice in the hope of finding a bank that would refinance the hotel's loans at a lower interest rate. Bin Sulayem asked for introductions to financier Jess Staley, then a senior J.P. Morgan executive who later became CEO of Barclays. Around this time, Epstein began to take a personal interest in the London hotel, seemingly as a potential buyer. One correspondent, whose name was redacted by the U.S. authorities, emailed Epstein with a proposal to buy Duke's. Epstein could then make the top your London residence, have room for lots of pee, and have full hotel services. Epstein began investigating the purchase further, asking financial advisors to work out the real value of Duke's and how much would have to be spent on refurbishing it. In a sign of how seriously the idea was taken, the hotel's owners, who still own it today, shared confidential internal financial projections with the convicted child sex trafficker. The due diligence on the potential London hotel deal included conversations with David Stern, a businessman who later became a director of Prince Andrew's Pitch at Palace Entrepreneurs Initiative. Stern, who was already ingratiating himself with Prince Andrew thanks to Epstein, seemed keen on the idea of buying the hotel in order to install a playroom for Epstein. He emailed the convicted sex offender. "I was thinking of looking at actual rooms at the Duke tomorrow before I fly to check how small they are. Your London playroom on top floor, after some renovation, is still something I like. Should I look at it? Yes, or waste of time?" Epstein quickly told Stern to press ahead and investigate Dukes further. That same afternoon, Epstein emailed hotel magnate Giuseppe Cipriani to ask whether he wanted to be involved in buying Dukes, asking, "Any interest in doing this with me?" The reply from Cipriani was negative. But over the coming months, Epstein seems to have maintained an interest in the hotel's fortunes and was kept abreast of its financial situation. "Please stop by the hotel when you are in London next," wrote bin Sulayem to Epstein in a later email, again asking for financial help with Dukes. Eventually, the hotel's performance improved and no deal took place. Dukes Hotel did not respond to a request for comment on why its owner had been involved in financial negotiations with a man who was already at that point a convicted sex offender. Epstein's proposed London meeting between Woody Allen and P.A. Even as he became increasingly notorious after his conviction, Epstein was regularly flying to the UK and arranging meetings in London. Emails reported by the BBC suggest that Epstein set up a London dinner between Prince Andrew and a 26-year-old Russian woman in August 2010. Epstein also seems to have acted as an informal representative for Woody Allen, helping to plan a trip to Europe for the film director in August 2014. Ahead of this visit, Epstein sent an email to David Stern, the associate of Prince Andrew. In a previously unreported message seen by London Centric, Epstein asked Stern whether someone called P.A. would like to meet Woody Allen in London. Epstein wanted to know if this was possible or advisable. Stern's response was that, "I will talk to him and see no reason why not. We make it a private meeting. When?" There's no evidence in the emails that the London meeting between the two men took place. But who was P.A.? The clue is elsewhere in the files, where Epstein explains that P.A. is Stern's shorthand for Prince Andrew. It has previously been reported by The Telegraph that Stern operated as a back channel between the sex offender and Prince Andrew, long after the Duke of York officially broke off contact with Epstein in December 2010. What has not been reported is the extent of that correspondence and the apparent use of the codename P.A. Stern sent Epstein birthday wishes and love from P.A. in 2014. The year after Stern passed on a message from P.A., on the day that news broke of a new investigation into Epstein, requesting advance warning of future legal developments. As late as 2016, Stern was proposing making money with Epstein by doing a deal that required the support of Qataris who, he claimed, can be aligned via P.A. They would love to welcome him to number 10. Woody Allen repeatedly pops up in relation to Epstein's London activities. In the early days of David Cameron's time as Prime Minister, Epstein ended up on an email chain involving Downing Street policy chief Rohan Silva and Cameron's chief of staff Steve Hilton, in which Silva said, "Steve and I are really keen to meet up with Woody Allen." When Epstein asked if David Cameron would be present for the meeting with Allen, the word came back via an intermediary that he could be. Another previously unreported email from 2017 shows Hollywood publicist Peggy Siegel urging Epstein to fly to London to attend a BAFTA Awards dinner she was co-hosting with James Bond producer Barbara Broccoli and Jessica de Rothschild. The dinner, which a large number of A-list celebrities were due to attend, was described as a who's who of the British and American cultural elite. The actors may not be happy to learn that a top publicist almost made them share a table with one of the world's most notorious sex offenders. "I am interested in your London house." Duke's Hotel wasn't the only potential property deal involving Epstein in London. The emails suggest the sex offender spent much of 2010 considering whether to spend tens of millions of pounds buying a London house. Stern, the Prince Andrew associate, forwarded Epstein a list of potential properties in central London, including one owned by a hedge fund founder who had moved to Monaco for the obvious reasons, and another on the Billionaire's Row of Kensington Palace Gardens owned by a German arms dealer. Epstein even began requesting photos of the interior of specific London properties that were for sale, emailing one person to declare, "I am interested in your London house." The prospect of a rich buyer during a financial crisis was catnip to London's high-end estate agents. One property that attracted further discussion was a £50 million property at 52 Grosvenor Street, close to the old U.S. Embassy. At one point, the sex offender was asked if he would be interested in buying the London home of fashion designer Tom Ford on Upper Brook Street in Mayfair, again just off Hyde Park, for around £25 million. Seemingly seeking a second opinion from a friend, Epstein emailed the property listing of Ford's house to Peter Mandelson, then a cabinet minister who was supposedly preparing Gordon Brown's Labour government for the looming general election. Later in 2010, Epstein sent an email asking whether an individual called Flavio would rent out his flat in the capital, so we can see what living in it is like. He was also weighing up whether to open an investment office in London that could help rehabilitate his reputation after his conviction with donations to charitable causes such as hospitals. Now I know where all the cute pea in London is hiding. London is a city that suits men like Epstein, where extreme wealth, vulgarity, and exploitation blend into the humdrum backdrop of ordinary citizens' lives. It's a place where bad, rich men can choose to either stand out or hide. Epstein himself delighted in gossip about others who were up to no good, sharing an anecdote about one of Britain's most prominent businessmen who allegedly paid for his mistress to stay at a flat in one of London's most prominent addresses. For Epstein, who courted the friendship of the British elite, all the way up to members of the government and royal family, London's allure as a sometime base was clear. As well as a place to do business, London was a playground. Luxury London brands serviced Epstein and his associates well. There are invoices for stays at Claridge's Hotel and arrangements to meet at Michelin-starred restaurants. Epstein is sent links to Sex Pistols posters for auction at Christie's. London Centric has found orders from 2019, just before Epstein's final arrest, for notepads from high-end London stationer Smithson embossed with the initials JE. Some of the correspondence in the files reveals the city as a cartoonishly misogynistic hunting ground for women. One correspondent emailed him, "I'm at a meeting with an advertising agency. Now I know where all the cute pea in London is hiding. Unbelievably cute." On one occasion, previously reported by the BBC, Epstein seemingly arranged a dinner for former South African President Jacob Zuma at the Ritz in London in 2010, which the emails suggest was also attended by a beautiful Russian model who was asked to be there in order to add glamour to the occasion. Zuma has called the reporting guilt by association. It wasn't just the discretion of a certain corner of London that Epstein found attractive. He also admired the willingness of English courts to shut down reporting about the rich and powerful. At one point, he was recommended the services of London legal firm Carter Ruck by Peter Mandelson, although there is no indication he engaged their services. Epstein did, however, briefly employ noted British libel lawyer Paul Tweed to defend his reputation. One email shows Epstein advising a prominent politician on how to file a libel case. The convicted sex offender recommended avoiding the U.S. court system and instead looking to the U.K. As Epstein explained, the U.S. simply could not compete when it came to shutting down a story. Our defamation/slander/libel laws are not very good. London is much better.